The trade deadline may be over, but Brian Wright is still cooking as the Spurs make another sneaky move, signing Bismack Biyombo for the rest of the season in a move that's desperately needed by San Antonio with Gosse out with injury, Wemby out for the season. Biyombo has brought an incredible center role to this team, having a couple of double-doubles. We have to dive into what he's done right, why he deserves this, and what the outlook of the Spurs season looks like now with Biyombo potentially as that full-time center down the stretch. We got a lot to break down on this episode of Spurs Digest, but guys, as always, you guys know what's coming. 3/4 of you watching this video are not subscribed. We got daily San Antonio Spurs content all season long, even though the outlook of the team doesn't look great right now. But hey, we're also on the road here to 6,000. We're so close. We're just 326-ish away from 6,000. So even if just a fraction of you watching hit that subscribe button, it'd mean the world to us. Let's get right into the video. And we'll start with this. The big news, according to Chris Haynes, the San Antonio Spurs will sign center Bismack Biyombo for the remainder of the season following the conclusion of a second 10-day contract, league sources tell me. Biz registered 2 double-doubles this week, and that's absolutely true. We'll roll the clips again, and we'll see a little bit of Brian right there as well. But Bismack Biyombo, since joining this team, now look, when he was signed to that 10-day, you can go back and watch my video on it. I've been outspoken on how much of a good fit I believed Bismack would be for this team. Now, at the time, I believed it would be in a much more of a backup role to Wembanyama. Of course, the unfortunate circumstances have led to him taking a bit bigger of a role than maybe we anticipated. But still, when he finally got some playing time, more than that, whatever, 25 seconds he had in that one game, we can see why he is a good fit. And honestly, the one thing that has stood out most to me is his chemistry with Chris Paul. He's that traditional big man who sets good screens. He's rolling hard to the basket. He's throwing down dunks when he gets in the paint, and he's not doing much more on offense. But that kind of thing actually works well with CP3, and we've actually seen that a lot in the game. So having Bismack has been a nice surprise for the Spurs right now. While, of course, since Wemby's gone down with injury, the Spurs have not looked good. But one guy that has looked good is Biz himself. And looking at the depth chart right now, I'm going to talk a little bit about Gosse in a second, but right now, Biz is that starting center. And Chris Paul, De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, and there he is, Bismack Biyombo. Now, we've had some good games from the likes of Julian Champagnie, Keldon Johnson here and there. I feel like the bench is okay. Castle, again, playing pretty well, but that center spot, I mean, it's all his, honestly. Like, especially with Charles Gosse, like, he didn't play against the Rockets in the Spurs last game, and it'll be a second straight game after he was reported to come back. He has that kind of ongoing knee issue with the bruising. I don't know. I'm hearing some people say it's chronic, some people say it's acute. I don't really know. I'm not going to pretend I know the in-depth details of Gosse's injury, but what I do know is that for the foreseeable future, it is Bismack's spot. And especially with the way he's been playing, even a guy like Sandro can't really compare right now to Bismack because looking at that starting five, Bismack is a much better fit. He blocks more shots than Sandro does. He is, I would say, a better rebounder than Sandro. Sandro's definitely more of a stretch big, right? That's what he brings. But Bismack has that NBA experience. He is an incredible pick and roll player for what he is. I mean, okay, maybe he's not like top tier or anything, but he does it quite well. And right now in the last 5 games, if we just take a look at it, like, my gosh, his stats are really, really good. I mean, a total of, what is that, 24 plus 10, 34 points over his last 5 games, which is an average of almost 7 points per game. I think it's 6.8 points per game. Not to mention, he has 6 blocks in his last 5 games, averaging over a block a game while only averaging about 20 minutes a night, just over 20 minutes, right? So that's quite good. And again, like, even his shooting percentages are good, right? 4 for 4. He's not taking a ton of shots. 1 for 2, 4 for 6, 5 for 7, 2 for 5. But he has 2 double-doubles. Like, those 2 games against New Orleans, yes, they were losses, but Bismack was getting a lot of run in those games. Solid shooting percentage from the field, because again, he's just dunking. He's getting down low, and he's putting it in the basket. But that one game against New Orleans in the bigger loss, the one that, you know, we don't really want to talk about, he still had 10 points. Yeah, 5 fouls. That's something that's just going to come with Bismack Biyombo. Though, again, his other games, he didn't have that many fouls. But the 10 points, 10 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 2 steals, unbelievable, followed immediately by a 10-point, 12-rebound game. And the offensive rebounds is what's jumping out to me as well. He has a total of 9 offensive rebounds over his last 3 games, averaging 3 boards a game. So anyway, just wanted to highlight this signing. I love Bismack Biyombo. I'm a big Biz fan, and he's really impressed me. This is absolutely the correct move because with the uncertainty in the Spurs frontcourt moving forward, it's something we absolutely needed. But this does have bigger implications on the Spurs as well going down the stretch. So now that we have somewhat of a center rotation, and a guy like Bismack that can just prove that he can eat those minutes, right? It's not like we're utterly helpless. Like, if we were starting the injured Bassey and like Sandro the rest of the way, I don't think the Spurs would be winning too many games, so I guess we're not really going to win many either. But the thing is, looking down the stretch right now, we're looking at the draft pick, right? And having Biz as that starting center, while, yeah, it's nice in a vacuum and he's doing great and he deserves this, as much as I like to hype him up, as much as I just did say he is nice, better option probably than Bassey or Sandro at this point, it's maybe debatable. The Spurs are still not going to win that many games. So looking at the outlook down the stretch, having Biz gives some personality to the team, gives some solidity, right? We know what we're getting from him. But right now, the Spurs are 9th in the draft lottery odds, right? And they're just barely there ahead of Chicago. 2 games ahead of them, I should say. But Zach Collins, by the way, been balling out for Chicago. If you guys haven't been paying attention to that, it might hurt you guys a bit to go look at how well, maybe not how well overall, but some games Zach Collins had. He had like a 20-point, 15 rebound. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe it wasn't that good, but I know he had like a 20-point game or something over there. He's been playing well, shooting well. But right now, like, San Antonio is falling down the standings. I mean, these losing 4 in a row, 3-7 in their last 10. And not to mention, Atlanta is still not doing that great either, sitting there tied with Phoenix for the... It's insane that Phoenix is there too. Phoenix just lost to New Orleans, by the way. So I know a lot of us don't love the Suns, so that's an interesting thing. But looking right now at the outlook for the draft lottery, it's looking very possible the Spurs get 2 top 10 picks. And as the days go by, with Biz being probably our starting center the rest of the way, I think there's a real likelihood the Spurs can slip down to 7th, 6th, maybe even top 5 in draft lottery odds. Though, again, for Toronto to make up 7 games in this final, 23-ish games set of the season, tough to say for sure. But hey, I digress. What I do want to say is the Spurs still do have a very difficult schedule ahead of them. And this is one of the big points here. Now, Phoenix actually has the hardest schedule left. Which is kind of crazy, but the Spurs are there at 8th hardest left. The only team above them in the draft lottery rankings there, I believe, is Portland, unless I'm missing something. You can call me out if I'm missing something. But yeah, no, Washington, Charlotte, Utah, New Orleans, Toronto, Philly, Brooklyn, Chicago. Even Portland's actually below San Antonio right now. But right there, Portland and Phoenix, they're right there with Atlanta and Sacramento as well. You see, Sacramento's got a tough schedule and Portland's got a tough schedule, whereas Atlanta has a bit of an easier schedule. Doesn't bode super well for us in that sense, but in terms of the Spurs' own pick, again, a top 8 most difficult schedule remaining with 2 games against the Cavs, another Thunder, Celtics, Knicks, Grizzlies coming up, I believe tomorrow as of the recording of this video, and the Nuggets. Yeah, there are some other games against other lottery opponents there, like the Raptors, like the Sixers. Those are going to be the tank bowls, basically. Look, I don't love tanking, but I'm just saying it how it is. The Spurs aren't playing well right now. We got our center the rest of the way. It's Bismack. He's not the kind of center that's going to lead you to an incredible record down the final stretch. Right now, the Spurs have one of the hardest remaining schedules in the league, where a lot of the teams below them aren't actually, you're kind of surprised, right, to see that some of the teams right there at the top of the lottery standings don't have harder schedules against good teams. So the Spurs, if you're a team tank or not, it's going to be tough the rest of the way. It's going to be rough. But we're in it for the long haul, right? We're in it for next season. We're in to see how we can progress this season. See Castle get a few more minutes. Hopefully see Vassell really get back to his consistent form. Maybe see Biz play some good basketball. Get him a contract for next year, whether it's here or somewhere else. And get ready for Wemby next season. Get some good draft picks. I'm still excited for the future of the Spurs. There's not a lot of room for optimism this year from some fans. But for me, look, I don't really care how the team does this year as long as we're hitting certain benchmarks for development and we're setting ourselves up for the future. And I hope that's what a lot of you guys are feeling as well. But let me know your thoughts down below. Maybe you guys are not happy with this signing, not happy with how this season looks. I'm not happy with what's happened, but I'm trying to stay optimistic for the future because I do think it's very bright. That'll do it for this episode of Spurs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. And if you watched all the way through, just leave a little comment down below that just says Biz. Shout out to my boy Bismack Biyombo, and that way I'll know you watched till the end. We read all the comments here. I've been your host, Josh Gosse, and I'll catch you all in the next one.